Hello and a very good afternoon, everybody. How are y'all doing? My name is Olivia and I will be your MC for the afternoon. Welcome to PRISM's UBD Short Film Festival. Now, this is an annual event. Now, this year is the 5th edition, and for the first time ever, PRISM has become one of the ASEAN University Network on Culture and the Arts umbrella of events. The main purpose of PRISM is to widen the perspective of student filmmakers from across the ASEAN countries and consolidate the wholeness of the region by celebrating and showcasing the respective culture and national identities through the form of the seventh art, film. As a result, this year, we had a total of 26 shortlisted entries from University Brunei Darussalam, University Islam Sultan Sharif Ali, Polytechnic Brunei, National University of Singapore, and De La Salle University, Manila, Philippines. This year, PRISM hosted 4 competition categories: Best Smartphone-Made Short Film, Best Documentary Short Film, Best Animation Short Film, and Best Fiction Short Film. One additional award category this year is the People's Choice Awards. The winner has been chosen based on the most popular votes gained throughout the online streaming period, which was hosted on Progressive Media between the 17th of November until the 5th of December. Now, before we announce the winners of this year's PRISM, we would like to appreciate the international jury panel chaired by Dr. Katrina, the Dean of Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences of UBD, for their dedication and fair judging work over the past 2 weeks. We had 2 Bruneian judges, Puan Rosnani Yusof from AITI, and Akil Ahmad from Filterworks Productions, and 2 international judges, Miss Mary Law from the National University of Singapore and Ms. Glorif Samodio from De La Salle University, Philippines. So, it is time to get into finding out who will be taking home prizes this afternoon. Each winning title will receive a certificate and a cash prize of 500 Brunei dollars. First, we will have the Best Smartphone-Made Short Film. We would like to invite Dr. Katrina Dowd onto the stage to present this prize. UBD PRISM's 5th Film Festival Best Smartphone-Made Short Film goes to Menanti, directed by Jazzy Amir of University Brunei Darussalam. Next up, I would now like to invite Akil Ahmad of Filterworks Productions up onto the stage to award the Best Documentary Short Film. Now, the winner for this year's Best Documentary Short Film goes to Pause Up by Rabiatul Azizah of Polytechnic Brunei.
Last year alone, we have rescued and spay and neuter over 450 animals, cats and dogs combined.
The dogs is being, bullied by the humans or everything like that. They cannot say anything to them.
Because at the end of the day, we try to neuter them, we try to vaccinate them as many as we can. But then again, if society still wants them, out of sight, out of mind.
No, not perfect. Or this cat only have one eyes. No, I don't want to adopt this cat. Or this cat only have 3 legs. But I think, just don't think it's an option. Just think that it's a living thing that maybe if you have the ability to give a good support, I think we should take that chance to give them a chance. Just like any stray cats that come to our place, we don't get to choose them, but we can always choose to be kind. Yeah. Pause Up, we officially registered just last year, 2021, but it went way back to 3 years ago. My wife and I just came through Brunei to visit our family in Mata Mata, and we start seeing a lot of strays even in our neighborhood, and that's when we realized we wanted to do something about the stray problems. Yeah, non-officially it was 3 years ago, but officially it was last year that we set up a proper place for Pause Up to run.
Who is the author behind the rescue animal stories on your website?
So our Instagram, Pause Up TV, we make sure that every animal has a voice. So the author is me, Jay. So I was thinking what would happen if the animal could actually speak. Just for instance, if we always hear like, oh, we got chased by dogs, or like, oh, stray cats is dirty, they come to our house and they like do the business everywhere. Like we always hear from human, but we hardly hear from the animal themselves. Yeah, so it all comes from just wanting them to be able to have their point of view that the public could actually read, and then eventually they will no longer think that they are dirty, because even if they are dirty, there is a reason behind why they're dirty, because there's no one to care for them. But really, the stray cats, who's gonna pay for them? And then before we humans say that, oh, they're dirty, they come to my house and do this, do that, have you ever thought that it's because nobody do it for them? So we have that background storyline, and then we just put that into words so that the mass public could read them, and then eventually we can build like a good foundation for people to learn from this platform and then apply in real life.
What have you learned from volunteering under Pause Up?
So what I learned a lot is basically to not be scared of the dogs, because as a Malay person I am, and I am usually afraid of the dogs, honestly. So the fear that is gone already is what I learned, but most important part is like it's a fun learning experience where you can enjoy what's in front of you at the same time helping the cats, helping the dogs, and then you learn how to give them medicines, you learn how to give them treatments and everything.
For the next award, we have Best Animation Short Film. We would now like to invite Senior Adjunct Professor of UBD, Haji Osman Haji Mohamad, onto the stage. Winner for this year's Best Animation Short Film goes to The Origin of Gold River Village, directed by Bashir Junaidi of University Brunei Darussalam.
Grandma, I'm full. Can I throw the leftover rice?
Do not throw it. Go feed it to the birds. Otherwise, the rice will cry.
Huh? How is it possible for the rice to cry?
Let me tell you a story about our village. A very long time ago, on a gorgeous sunny day, there was a fisherman fishing alone at the large Brunei River. Suddenly, his stomach began to grumble loudly. He was obviously hungry, but there was no need for him to be worried. He remembered that he brought his homemade rice lunch. He ate everything in an instant due to extreme hunger. However, he did not finish eating all of the food because he was full, so the remains were thrown guiltlessly into the river. Without the fisherman's knowledge, the leftover rice that was floating away on the river's current began to cry loudly. The day is almost set. Then helpless rice said,
We feel betrayed. All we ever do is satisfy human hunger, but we are so easily thrown away like trash. Humans are so ungrateful.
Suddenly, golden rays of light appeared from the right side. The rice stopped crying as it saw something size of a hill approach it slowly. It was mighty bright and shimmering.
Oh, big one. What are you?
I am the Golden Island. As you can see, I am here to bring fortune to the villagers of this nation. But I heard there was a cry from here. What happened to you, little rice?
Oh, you don't need to, Golden Island. Here, the people easily discard the little things and throw away their leftovers. Just like me, I feel unappreciated.
Oh my, such a bad nature. Surely a civilization that does not value modest wealth does not also deserve great wealth. The Golden Mountain expressed its rage at discovering the true nature of man. As a result, the Golden Mountain left the village by the river in search of other villages where the people are thankful and appreciative, a village that was worthy of his wealth. Since then, the river where the Golden Island first appeared has been known as the Sungai Siamas or the Golden River, and the village there is known as the Gold River Village. That's why we should learn to appreciate the little things and be thankful for what we already have. And that's the end of the story.
Huh? Sungai Siamas? Grandma, isn't that the name of our village?
Indeed.
Okay, Grandma. Every time I have leftover food, I'll feed it to the birds. Grandma, if I have leftover ice cream, can I feed the cat with it?
Oh dear. You cannot feed a cat with ice cream.
Step on the list is Best Fiction Short Film. The winner for this year's Best Fiction Short Film goes to Lingering, directed by Suryani Zaini from the National University of Singapore.
14，再加上今天的15。快了，很快就能和你见面了，好想你啊！晚安。
哎，来，好哥吃什么？
哎，Hello，老样子啊，
老样子。
白鸡烧鸡，加肉不要黄瓜。帮。
好。
OK， 好。
2块。可以。哦。特别去阿强那边跟你买鸡饭，你最喜欢的。每天都有，就是今天没有。怎么？你不想见我啊？不想见我也没关系了。没有鸡饭，我跟你买了鱼片汤，你最喜欢的。我是不喜欢鱼片汤的哦。小强的这个鸡扒还不错，比你的鱼片汤好吃，真的，好吃，真的。哎，你记得吗？我们以前啊，常常去阿强的摊位吃鸡饭。你喜欢吃鸡翅膀，我呢，鸡尾。可是我们都喜欢吃它的白斩鸡。不过现在不一样了，小强煮的是什么？鸡扒。哎，不过味道也不错的，很好吃的。改天我买来给你吃啊。
And now the final category, People's Choice Awards, will be announced a bit later on. So we would now like to take this time to present to our Bruneian judges with a token of appreciation for their hard work and contribution. I would now like to invite onto the stage Program Leader of Design and Creative Industries of University Brunei Darussalam, Dr. Rui Lopez, to present the token of appreciation. Now we would like to call upon the jury chair, Dr. Katrina Dowd. Finally, we'd like to invite Dr. Yong, co-organizer of PRISM, Senior Assistant Professor of Design and Creative Industries, UBD, onto the stage to present the token to our next Bruneian judge, Akil Ahmad of Filterworks Productions. join us today, as well as our international judges, Miss Mary Locke from National University of Singapore and Miss Glory Samodio from De La Salle University, Philippines. They will be receiving their tokens of appreciation at the main hotel. Now, you all may be wondering how our judges came to the decisions that they did. So we're going to take about 15 to 20 minutes and invite on the head jury judge, Katrina Dowd, together with Akil Ahmad onto the stage, and we'll find out a little bit more as they kind of explain and talk us through on how everyone was judged.
The rubrics used for the films were across 6 categories, including storytelling, editing, soundtrack. What else was there? Something, yes. Something and another something to make up 6 categories of scoring. And I think they were slightly different across each category as well. So documentary was slightly different from animation, for example. So just to give you a sense of, I think we'll go category by category for some comments, and I'll share some of the judges who couldn't be here with us today, their comments that were sent to me via email. So let's start with the documentary category.
Technical. It was technical, one of the criteria.
Technical. Yes. Yes. Okay, so the documentary category in which Pause Up won. So just to share some of the comments from Miss Mary, who I will add has been instrumental in directing Asia Rising, which the film festival that's hosted by NUS. Her general comments were that Pause Up in particular, the intent of the work was clear and the varied angle made the work visually appealing. But overall, she spoke about how what she looks for in a documentary is a well-told story that would engage my attention and not just a topic. For me, she says, the most important question is the why. Why did the filmmaker choose this as his subject, and what did he hope to achieve? So particularly in nonfiction, I think the why of the story becomes very important for the audience to really feel invested and engaged in the quality of the story that's being told, as well as the medium. So that was a comment from Miss Mary. I understand that Miss Glorife also sent comments, but there were some technical difficulties in receiving them. So hopefully those will be shared with the filmmakers in due course. So I'll now invite Tuan Akil to make some comments on the documentary category.
Oh. I wrote something this time, so I don't forget. Well done for people who entered documentary. It was quite a lengthy amount for everyone to invest in. My words here about technical was that I always think that regardless of what it is, documentary is still structured as a story. Yeah, there's still structure to it. It's not just words or information or facts, but visual cues that also support your information. If Ani goes to for those yang terasa lah kali ya. But if you don't have the permission to shoot inside of a building that is meant to be your main focus of documentary, I think that it's probably worth it to just do a documentary on something else. Because you're making 10, 15 minutes worth of content and people get tuned out because they keep seeing the same shots, is just variations. While you're feeding them these information that doesn't have support. So one of the short films that I did enjoy that used was I don't remember whether it was Sharia Building or Royal Regalia, that did use a lot of visual cues and storytelling that support. It wasn't just the building alone, like SOAS, or just used itself on its own. Yeah, filler information that's not directly relevant to the documentary should be just cut really short, or just cut out if needed at all. That's, yes.
Yeah, I think I would echo Akil's comments. I found that this year, the quality of the research that went into the documentary category was much more mature than in previous years, and I really commend the filmmakers for making that effort. And of course, what differentiates reading an academic paper from watching the documentary is these visual cues, right? And the story that you're telling. So not just delivering facts, but making it clear to the audience why they should be invested in these facts. So that relevance, I think, was important. So I want to commend in particular, along with my fellow jury members, the longer documentaries. I think those were really hard to do, and they had really interesting stories to tell. So congratulations to everyone in this category. I think we will also probably send some of these comments to Dr. Yong Liu for dissemination to the filmmakers in case they would like to have a little bit more feedback. We'll go now to the next category, animation. This was the category in which the votes and the scores were unanimous, the only category in which the votes and the scores were unanimous across the board. All 5 judges voted for The Origin of Gold as well as scored it the highest, but there were plenty of commendations for the other films as well. In particular, I Grew Up Playing. Miss Mary Lowe called it a delightful reminder of the past and spoke to how it had a very universal feel of childhood memory. So really well done there. Yes, Akil?
Yeah, I think I quite enjoyed the animation for this year. That's also including 86 as well as Adventures of Sweet and Sour Candy. So all of those, I think, deserve the credit they get. So you should give yourselves a round of applause for that. The only thing with animation is that as opposed to technical work, because that's definitely not my field, is the sound design that comes with it. When you're trying to make sure that you want to engage, like I'll say a little bit more for this during horror, but sound design is probably one of the most important parts as opposed to visual in terms of animation to make the whole story feels much more alive. Like that's why you don't just focus on their dialogue. You don't just focus on where the story is, how the story is narrated, but you also want to put in those really subtle audio, like what the background is in that scenery. If it's in Kampong, then what's the background? If it's in the sea, by at Kampong Ayer, what's the background sound? If they're picking up a plate, if they're doing like gussing, if they're eating rice, etc., etc. What I think that could have been done more was the balancing of all, because some music came really low and then suddenly, a really loud sound just enters your ears and you're like, whoa, I was caught off guard and I forgot to ingest that information instead because I was too distracted by the audio.
Thank you very much. So we'll go to the next category, which was the smartphone-made short films. Thank you, everyone who set their film in UBD. That has made my last week or so of work very interesting in terms of looking at the spaces around me as sites of delight.
While going through marking papers.
Yep, a different kind of emotion there. So just to share, some comments from Miss Mary. She reiterated the need for a why, especially in a category in which the genre was, I think, across the board the same, except for one unlimited call, which was less horror. She spoke to how when you are making a film in a particular genre, you really have to think through the why the story matters, why this person, why this time and place. So the perspectives, the way the story is told is what differentiates texts or films in a genre from the other texts or films in a genre. And that's particularly clear, I think, when you're watching a whole spate of them in one go, like one horror film after another. You start to recognize what really stands out, what is refreshing, what has chosen a new perspective or a new story, or has really thought a little bit more about why this story is important beyond a jump scare, beyond eliciting kind of a sensationalist emotion.
Yeah, that's really close to what I like. So that means a lot of the judges probably had the same idea. How many people were in smartphone category here right now? Oh, just the one row. As I'm aware, it was mostly for a film festival. That's the limitation of what you guys can do for your production. Yes? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that I think that there's I don't know if it's a timeline issue for when they were supposed to do it, or it's just a last minute work kind of issue, which is also something that's very common to have sometimes with deadlines of short film festivals and stuff. But I would always think that you should always start researching on your ideas first before you execute. Sitting around the table, what I mean by research is that what you think you want to write, sometimes it clashes with things that are already existing. Like a couple of the short films that, especially in terms of horror, that I watched personally, felt like I've seen this before somewhere. And then I went through YouTube and like, this is it. This is exactly the same one. And there were at least 2 other variations of the same story. So when you recreate, I feel like when you recreate or redo a variation of an existing story, especially, I feel like there's an unspoken rule that you either match up to it in terms of, if not technical, then it's definitely story, right? When you watch a movie, if you watch a movie, regardless if it's horror, if it's the latest Marvel movie, you can't help now but break it down and see what you like and what you didn't like about the movie, and what your opinion was to have that plot to be better, right? I think that is already a step in the right direction of how you can improve that story, meaning to say, any stories that exist, when you have a better idea, that could lead you to a better variation of the story. I also think that a lot of the students, a lot of you guys overestimate the smartphone's capability, right? I'm not a big fan of using smartphones for my films, but I think that the biggest problem that I had watching a lot of the content was the auto exposure from the phones does not compensate for your lack of lighting. Just because it looks much more brighter with a brighter backdrop, right? When the sun's there and you can still see the face, it's not going to show up as nice as you think it would be when you're editing. And if I was correctly informed then that you can't use professional lighting, I think that's still not a good reason, because there's still a lot of practical lights that you can use that doesn't need to be professional, that adds on to the ambience, to the mood of your short film. Yeah. But the good thing about smartphones is that you can do a lot of creative shots that it can be done more easily as opposed to when you have your camera. But towards the horror side, like what Miss Mayor Ling mentioned earlier, a lot of them lacked storytelling. It was a skit without a lot of purpose. You think that the short amount of time that you have, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, yeah, somewhere around there, means that, oh, nacukup untuk buat a proper story. Well, I think you're wrong. Only because if you can get engaged at a 30-second advert from start to finish and you think, wow, that was a great ad, that was an entertaining ad, there's definitely a lot more room to play around with a 3-minute content or 2-minute content. It's just about structuring how you're delivering your structure.
Thank you, Akil. And I think just a final comment from me, because my natural medium is not obviously film. So watching them, I'm mostly engaged in the storytelling, and I don't, it only stands out to me when lighting is particularly jarring or soundtrack is particularly jarring. But the enemy of genre text is always cliche. You want to use tropes to engage the audience and their familiarity with the genre, but you don't want to slip over into cliche where there is predictability and over familiarity. So if you're just looking for sensation, and there's definitely a place for that kind of media, sensation-based media, but if you want to kind of elevate the story itself, then you really need to think a little bit more about the basis of the plot or the character in particular. Just because it's 3 minutes, there's a lot that you can do with character in those 3 minutes. And I think across the board, congratulations to the finalists in this category. I think they were all really interestingly done, and it was very enjoyable to watch. So we go to the final category, Best Fiction Short Film. And this was won by Lingering. the Singaporean, our Singaporean participants. Generally, I think all the judges felt that the films this year showed a great maturity and a high level of quality and storytelling. Miss Mary said that for her, the short fiction films this year really stood out. And so I think congratulations to all those in this category. She did mention that pacing is very important, and this was sometimes affected by lack of attention to editing, so that editing can be paid a bit more attention to. Soundtrack and sound was generally good, but requires some balance. And there is a huge potential in exploiting the color grading of the films. So that's something I think to pay attention to in future iterations.
Like, as opposed to the other categories, like things like fiction would be more towards my bread and butter. So, like, I'm very analytic about it, like regardless of who's making it. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy the content. I do. It's just that it's, like I said, it's things you can't unsee anymore. You know, when you see something wrong with the visual, when you hear something wrong with the sound, when you sense something wrong with the story, when it's delivered, when the story structure is way too easy or way too convenient, that the plot twist feels very cheap. Those are a lot of the things that I feel that could be improved on with fiction, especially. Obviously, I see there were implementations of visual effects. There was a nice musical. I enjoyed that. That was from UNISA, I think. And like, I think what Lingering has, and why Lingering won, was not because we are short of technical. Yeah, I think that they just had the discipline to properly go through the process of what production life is. Artinya, they were very meticulous on what they think the framing was right. They didn't just stop at, like, okay, like, I think this is good. We're trying to catch a deadline anyway. I'm trying to finish up because I need lunch or early dinner. I'm meeting with some friends after this. They're not. They really sat down and they really pushed through that content. And I think that in terms of structure, story-wise, most of the short films that was in fiction could have delivered that too. It just requires the amount of discipline you want to know, like, what is exactly a really good frame to shoot. Why is this sound crap? And how can I improve it right there and then, not to do it in post. Like that. In terms of my usual technical comments is things like camera settings and framing, lighting, blah, blah, blah. It's the boring stuff, but it's the stuff that people really need to remember, because you don't fix things in post. You don't just do a run and gun and go straight and shoot. You need to know exactly what you're doing before you start rolling. Goes for all categories, including animation as well. One of the short films had a frame rate issue that I don't think can be accepted as a personal preference or a visual style. It was like, I think it was shot at 50 frames and throughout the whole short film. And it had this uneasy feeling of going, you sitting there like, everything is way too smooth than what it should be. Like Gemini, from when Will Smith was acting, that was 100 frames per second. It was the most weirdest thing you'll ever see. I would always recommend for people who do fiction to avoid using house lights as much as possible. Either natural light or practical light is your best bet. Kalau ada SL60, which is usually a very popular lighting equipment now, then use that. Don't use your house lights. That already improves a lot on how your shooting style could be. Yeah. And be really wary of sound design, whoever's editing sound, because that's the most tedious part when you're in post-production, after your color, after your cuts. Because things like having a sharp sound of a door or a whistle or a stab, a slap, like this thing affects everything else. So when I was going through it and I cheated and I put it on an editing platform, like that was the only thing that you could see that's really high, and every other audio was really low. Yeah, so that means that wasn't balanced properly throughout. And that happened to almost all of the smartphone category, documentary category, fiction category, and animation category. So all four had that issue. My quick fix for that is after you render, you put it back in the editing platform and see if you did that audio right or not. Yeah, it's very easy to double check before you send in. Like jangan 11:59 you send in, like 11:58 baru habis render, terus upload. Always double check your quality. Yes.
Sounds like the voice of experience there. Just to, I think, end on a note of commendation from Mary of NUS. She pointed out Hati-Hati Dengan Mata and Spark in particular as being windows into the lives of young Bruneians. And she spoke to how these had distinct senses of being stories which could only have originated in Brunei, and yet contained universal experiences about dreams and passion, which would find resonance with other young people elsewhere. So thank you very much to all those students who submitted for each category. I think that's a very nice note to end on. I'm sure Dr. Yongli will send over our feedback in due course. And thank you once again to my fellow jury members for their time and effort.
Thank you for your time, and thank you, UBD.
Thank you, Dr. Katharina and Akil. We will now move on to the next section of the closing ceremony. I'd like to call upon the Creators Panel. Now, we'd like to invite our speakers for the Creators Panel, organized by Progressive Media, introducing Natasha Jasmina, Aziz Daniel, Akmal Marhain, and the moderator, Iskandar Karim.
So, to introduce today's exciting lineup, my industry friends. First up is Natasha Jasmina. Hi, Tasha.
Hi.
Tasha is a scriptwriter and upcoming director who created Sample, as in envelope, Sample, a limited series that is coming out on Progressive Media this month.
Yes, this month.
This month. When exactly is it coming out?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
Oh, we can.
Say?
Kananggo sudah.
24th.
24th.
Yes.
Okay, something to look forward to because you posted the teaser already, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so it looks exciting. How do you feel about it?
Well, I tell myself that I'm nervous, but I try to make it positive by saying I'm excited instead. But it's kind of like debut, so of course I'm very nervous, but very excited for everyone to see the hard work that me and the crew did for the series, and I feel very appreciated to make that project.
Okay, we'll unpack more after this. Okay, next up is Akmal Marhain.
Hi.
Akmal. So Akmal is the producer and director of Marhain Entertainment. Also the creator of Intikamverse. If you don't know, Intikamverse is probably Brunei's first cinematic verse, and it started out with Intikam as a feature film.
Yeah, correct.
And then you created 2 spin-offs out of that called Zidane and TS Case 1. Yeah, so TS Case 1 being a Progressive Media original that was just released recently. But the Intikamverse is expanding now because you're currently filming a second feature.
Yeah, we are currently in the process of filming Intikam 2, the second feature, our second feature film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of 100, how much has it been completed? Not counting post yet, filming.
10%.
10%. Okay, yeah. Long way to go still.
Yeah.
All right. I have more questions about that later.
Sure.
Okay. So last on our panel here is Aziz Daniel. So Aziz Daniel has been in the industry the longest. He is a writer, director with 5 years of experience, and two of his series, Jago and Operation Hantu, won awards in the last Brunei Content Festival. And Jago being nominated in South Korea's Asia Content Awards for Best Short Web Series. Hi.
Hi. Okay, that's
Yeah. Okay. So you being the longest in this industry out of like the three of us, right? And probably in this whole hall as well.
no.
Oh, that. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Akhil as well. You can tell he's got experience from the way he spoke on stage earlier.
Yeah.
Can you share with us some of the highs that you've experienced in this industry? One that sticks out the most.
The highs.
Yeah.
I think the winning the award really helped. I feel appreciated, like for people to acknowledge the series and the film that me and my team made.
Yeah.
So I think the acknowledgement is really cool. So
This
I
is
think
the
that's
Brunei content.
yeah, those two, and also it's a local first local content festival. So I think that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. So because this is my first time moderating, I forgot to tell you guys that we're actually talking about the realities of a budding filmmaker in Brunei. Okay, so I'm gonna ask these three some questions that will hopefully prepare up and comers here, or maybe inspire, and so that everyone's like aware what to expect or experience when you get into this industry. And obviously, when you associate the word reality, it seems like reality is bleak, right? Because I'm never one to want to glamorize this industry. I think I don't have to say that much, but I think it's very interesting that we have these three people here, someone being a newcomer, and then someone who has started, and someone who's been in the industry for so long. Yeah, 5 years is like 10 dog years. So I don't know what you're doing here. You can already retire. Yeah. Okay, so for myself, right? I think the career path of a filmmaker is never linear. For me personally, I started from working in a creative agency doing video commercials, and then I joined a production house. So during my time in the production house, we entered AITI's first pitch and produce, where I made a little series called I Want to Be Famous. So for me, that was my first entry point into the film industry. So I didn't really count my time doing commercials as being in the film industry per se, but more so the creative industry. So how about you? We'll start with you first. What would you consider as your first entry point into the industry?
I don't really know which part, because I think throughout my whole career I've been just doing every role, as you said. But I think maybe when I made that first short film that I wrote and directed for the Film Blitz, and then from there I got a chance to showcase it from different festivals as well in Davao, Philippines. So I think that was pretty cool for my highlight. So I think maybe that's the starting point where I feel like, okay, maybe I can just make more. And yeah, so maybe that one.
Okay. Have you had any formal education when it comes to filmmaking, or what was it like for you when you first made that short film? Did you just take a camera and start shooting, or?
No, I have like some background at the IGS. So I studied there for electronic media certificate, that one. And then after that, interned at Filterworks. So from there, a lot of hands-on experience. And after Filterworks, I guess the highest one would be Fly, which is a film incubation for filmmakers. So they get from every ASEAN country 2 participants to learn about film. So I think that one was also a great experience and knowledge about film. So yeah.
Okay. Let's move over to Akmal. Akmal, so I understand you were just a student when you created Intikam, am I right?
Yeah.
Have you ever, like Daniel, have you ever entered a film competition before, a local one?
Yeah. I think I have been entering local festivals since 2019.
2019.
Yeah. And my first win was in 2020. Yeah. I won for the Brunei Islamic category at the Brunei Film Blitz 2020. But then and then I submitted again in 2021. Yeah.
Which was just last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year.
Was it Al Imam?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure if anyone here knows about Al Imam, but I found out about Akmal through the whole Al Imam, I wouldn't say uproar, but snub. It was called snub by the internet because I saw one day I went on Instagram and I saw people hashtagging Al Imam because apparently you didn't win. What competition was that?
That was also for Brunei Islamic category.
Yeah.
For the Brunei Film Blitz. And yeah, we didn't win an award for that specific short film, and we also didn't get shortlisted. But I guess, yeah. Do you have anything to ask, or should I say something?
No, because I remember because that was how I was introduced to Marhain Entertainment.
Yeah.
And then I remember you hosted a watch party on YouTube afterwards.
Yeah.
And I saw the film and I'm like, okay, I don't know why it didn't win, but I guess from your side, because that is the reality, right, of filmmaking. That's where I'm going. Because sometimes you work so hard, and then for me it was inspiring to see that other filmmakers or moviegoers or local filmgoers supporting Al Imam.
Yeah, to be honest, I was actually surprised when how much influence, how much attention, Al Imam got for from the film industry. I think that was the first time. Actually, when you joined the watch party, I was like, "Wow, Iskandar Karim joined my watch party. He's the creator of I Want to Be Famous." And then everyone else also, Akil Ahmad also joined the watch party and everything. And he even texted me that he liked my short film and everything. But I guess if I'm going to be honest, for everyone here, artinya whatever Akil said regarding the technical issue, take all those comments seriously. Yeah, I mean, from the story perspective of Al Imam and the concept and everything, maybe it's appealing to the public, but yeah, I mean, I always try to keep things positive. If I didn't win anything, yeah, there's something good behind this. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think I can relate because for the Brunei Content Festival, right? I did try to submit Famous, but there was a technical issue, and initial reaction was obviously I was upset.
I read your story.
Yeah, I was very, I'm a vocal person by nature. But at the same time, it was quite humbling because I had to really sit down because every person who won that night deserved that win too. So who am I to say, what's done is done? I guess it pushed me to want to do more, improve as well.
Yeah.
Because had it been nominated, I'm not saying it was gonna win, but it might have swept all the awards. You never know now. But so that's how I feel like I relate to you in that sense. So keep your head up high. For those who submitted for film competitions and didn't win, you try again. And you not winning, I don't think it validates the quality of your work. I think you should be your own validation and not an award.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tasha, being the baby of this group, where did you come from?
Literally, no.
Yeah. Not literally, but from my mom. Yeah.
Well, I grew up in a house where we just watch films, and I think I started a love for cinema from home. And then growing up, I did not have interest in the normal day-to-day job. And then fast forward later, I went to a film school. So, and that's where I started like getting really deep into
film.
filmmaking and stuff like that.
As in film school.
Film school in Brunei.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, Mahakarya.
Yes,
Mahakarya.
Mahakarya.
We've got Dr. Alex here and some of the students. Hello. Okay. So I would like to know more. How was your experience being in Mahakarya?
It's a really growing process for me. I felt like those 2 years really made me grow as a person, and I felt very educated in it, and I learned a lot of things, whether it was learning in cinema or learning filmmaking. But yeah, for me, it was just really a whole growing process, and like, getting to know the things that I wouldn't know.
Okay. Yeah. So it provided the foundation of like filmmaking for you, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most probably. Yeah.
Okay. When did you graduate from Mahakarya?
I graduated in 2020 and I started 2019.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. So there's like 2 years of it. Yeah, 2 years of filmmaking for a diploma. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your first involvement in producing a content outside after you graduated?
So this was a bit. I felt like I started right at the end of my semester, where we were taught to branch out and find connections with people outside of Mahakarya.
Yeah.
And that's when I met local production houses, selain daripada Filterworks
Yeah.
and other places. And there was a new company by Shafi Alim, New Wave, and that's where I started in. And I didn't know about the pitch and produce and all that, and the progressive media originals. So that's where I first started, and I didn't produce it, but I was a part of it as a crew, because in Mahakarya we learned a lot of roles there. So we kind of get into the different roles. So that was my first like foot in to the industry here.
You mean when he made Kitani?
Yes.
Was it? What was your role in Kitani?
I was assistant director for that one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So now from being an assistant director to writing and directing Sample, how was that transition like?
I've always wanted to be a writer and director, but I felt like I wasn't confident enough to just jump into that role. So what more to be an assistant of the director?
Yeah.
So I feel like you get to learn and get insight more on the role. And I've been doing a lot of assistant directing for a lot of projects, unpublished and published, and I learned a lot from different directors, and see how different directors work and their work ethics are. And yeah, I've always wanted to write and direct, but not a fan of assistant directing. Yeah. So sorry. What?
No, nothing.
No. So transitioning to writer and director was such a relief, because I felt like I earned it in a way, and I felt like I finally get to show my style as a director, and I get to finally tell stories based on me.
So what is Sample really about? I mean, what you can tell us.
What can you spoil?
Sure, right now.
Okay, I'll start with the genre. It's a drama fiction kind of thing. I'm a big fan of drama, and I felt like the fiction part of it, I just felt like that's a good addition to the drama, just so it could be more engaging for other people. And what I can say, I mean, Sample itself, it means envelope, and I like to think of it as like, as a writer, I get to tell these stories of characters. So what I can say right now, it's a story about these characters that I find interesting, and I created, and I like to create these characters as if they're real human beings. And it's just the orang punya jalan cerita and how each person is different in their own way, but at the same time, just to show the struggles that they have. Yeah. So that's what I can say. And then there's letters, there's buses, there's really talented people who work on it.
Okay. Moving on to Akmal now. So we spoke about Tasha's experience with Sampo. What was for you? Because I feel like what was the idea or motivation behind creating a cinematic verse besides being inspired by the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Is it because I want to see if are you staying within your comfort zone by expanding this universe rather than you going out of your comfort zone and creating new stories altogether? Or is this something that you've been wanting to build for so long?
I think if I spill too much, there won't be any element of surprise in what I'm planning with the universe.
Okay, so basically you have plans.
Yeah, I mean, the universe is okay. Like how we live in this world, we have drama. We have drama among friends, and then we have experienced horror. Ada tiya kana kacauan tu malam-malam macam tu. That's basically how Inticomverse is going to be. It's not going to just focus on action, and it might venture into another genre. So if some people might say I'm in my comfort zone by focusing on Inticomverse only, just wait. We're still building something here. Just wait until we're going to venture into something else through the same platform. I mean Inticomverse itself lah.
Yes. Usulnya macam sanang pulang when you created this verse. Tapi I want to know, what was the challenges that you faced?
Dari awal, okay. Okay. With Inticom, it was a feature film, right? If people in this hall already watch it, obviously it was low budget lah, nampak low budget because memang self budget juga Inticom, our first feature film itu. And then the challenge is during our first film itu, I was not like how I was not like how I am right now. My confidence level is not like how I am right now. I didn't cast anyone yang famous, like professional actor and stuff. I only cast my friends. But luckily, when
your friends and yourself.
Yeah, myself. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, I casted my friend, and then the challenges are budget restraint. I think we have to be very careful on how we allocate every budget for the rental, for our equipments and everything. And then another issue is censorship, I think. Yeah. The challenge in Brunei seriously is censorship lah. I think I keep on mentioning this in every topic that I'm in every conversation I have with every filmmakers is problem with censorship lah. Because to be honest, Inticom is a very clean story. I try to write it by following how our country's principle, MIB, but then we still face some problem regarding
anyone here who wants to make an action film, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be an action film without any fights or guns. How did you eventually bypass those with the censorship?
Censorship Brunei.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. with Intercomdo, we're experimenting on that. We're trying to see if there's a loophole on how we can depict scene yang ada pakai guns on it. So if I remember correctly, some of the laws are not allowing character to specifically depicting about Brunei or Brunei police force.
Yeah.
So the loophole is we now are retconning the story. Everything in Intercom is set in a fictional city, and then we are depicting a fictional police, but without depicting a real police uniform. And then also the action, we tried to show you apa tuh scene you makai guns atau to a minimal lah. Yeah. Yang orang, I think the heist yang banyak pakai. Ya, sabut-sabut ni. Ada orangnya sini.
Okay, so those two basically, one is to create a fictional universe. Don't refer Brunei. Don't refer like the universe to Brunei. And secondly, just the gun action, keep it to a minimum lah. So if anyone here wants to make a action film, those are the two things that you should keep in mind about. Okay, Danielle. All right. Talking about, we're going to take a break from talking about production work right now, but I understand each of us, we're all still new in this industry, but for you who's been in this industry for like 5 years, right? I'm going to go to Akmal and Tasha as well to ask for your opinion, but I want to hear it from you first. What is your definition of success in this industry?
I think to me, the success would be the audience that's watching it. Again, if there's a fan or like a following, I think that matters more than just winning awards. Like the impact that he had, which is everyone who loves the film and who thinks that it should win. So I think that one is already a success. Like you don't really need the award, right? Because that's what matters. The audience. And you want to sustain that audience and then maybe create new fans. So to me, that's success. If people love your film and they follow it and they support you for it, and I think that's already successful.
Do you feel like you've attained that success so far?
Stop throwing it back at me. I don't. I'm shy. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just glad that even the people that I work with enjoy the type of content that I created. So I think to me that's also very successful. Having a strong team, probably you can relate. Having a strong team that supports you and is also like supporting your vision. So that's also successful.
Okay. Tasha, what is your definition of success being?
I feel like I never really thought about that much. Like how he said, just to build an audience, because I'm so to invest in my story. Thank you, and in my own bubble that I don't usually think of the other people watching my stuff.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good response to that, and I think that's really cool to have audiences to be fans of like your show and everything, to have people to support you. And I think for me is usually if I could impact someone with what I've created, I think that's a success. Whether or not it's like an inspiration for my own stuff, I think that would be very impactful. And I have big goals, which are kind of
What are your goals, if you don't mind sharing?
It's kind of ridiculous.
Let's see how big they are.
Okay, it's really ridiculous. Yeah, dangar.
Let's go.
I want to win an Oscar.
Yes. Can we have a round of applause?
But that'll probably take like.
That is your Oscar. Do you wanna?
There we go.
There's a podium there.
No, please don't make me stand there.
After this, we're gonna practice your speech later.
Okay, so I feel like that's really far away, and I think everyone else has their own achievements, and I think for me it's basically just, especially putting Brunei on the map of the film industry. I know like we've been submitting, Bruneians have been submitting their films and all of this stuff in international film festivals, but I truly think that it's still not being recognized.
Yeah.
So to be one of the people that kind of would just give it a little step forward into that pool is success for me. Even sitting here is an achievement for me to be able to have the privilege to talk and to this panel is a success for me. I wouldn't imagine having it. Yeah.
I mean, to add on to that, right? I personally feel like why it's so exciting being in the industry right now is because no one has properly made it yet. So that spot is open for anyone to take. And it doesn't have to be only one person. And the reason why I feel like you say there's numerous films that have been, local films that's been submitted to international film festivals, right? Because it can't only be one film that puts Brunei on the map. It has to be multiple films, multiple local films. Yasmin did that a few years ago. And now everyone seemed to forget about Brunei because no films have reached that level yet. So I think that's why I feel like everyone should just keep creating, and then hopefully one of our films will, be recognized internationally one day. You never know.
Could be someone in this room.
Could be someone in this room.
Maybe you. Or you.
Yeah. Okay. To you. If, in case you forget, what is your definition of success?
I love creating story. I mean, apa tuh? Orang quote imagination.
Yes.
Jatuh. And then when I wrote a story and then I made it into a film, and then I love it when my audience try to dissect the story. Yeah, I mean, I always when I made my film, if you watch even in TSK's one, there are some Easter eggs I put in there. So what I measure my success with is from how people understand the story that I'm trying to deliver, like what message I'm trying to deliver through my story and everything. Apa tuh, kalau macam Oscar, audience, that's a plus for me. But I'm a story person. First thing first, apa tuh? Yang pertama story, second audience, and third the awards itulah. What make me want to orang gain audience cuma tu it's my team lah. They're the one yang work on those things. I focus on my parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ngam ka to? Did I answer your question?
There is no right or wrong answer. It's up to your personal how you feel, what success looks to you. But talking about your, I've always said this to you that I feel like you have a really strong, passionate team. Yeah, because like,
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, whenever I see you and your crew post on Instagram, the other day they went to the New Day screening at Empire. They all dressed up and they made a TikTok video. It was really cute. But yeah, so we've reached to the end of this session. I'm gonna have one last question I want to ask all three of you, but you have to answer it really quickly. Okay? So, are you ready? Yeah. No, that's not the question. So the question is, what local film would you tell everyone here to watch? Go. Doesn't have to be on progressive media. It doesn't have to be as long as it's made in Brunei. What is a must-watch local film that you feel like you want everyone here to watch? other than your shows? How long do we have, Charlotte? Where's Charlotte? 1 minute. Come on.
I think I'm gonna go with Prima Jaya.
Okay, Prima Jaya. Guys, watch Prima Jaya. I haven't seen Prima Jaya, so.
That was my other answer. That's crazy. Prima Jaya. Yeah. It's crazy, yeah.
No. You have to pick a different one. Tasha?
Probably her. Oh, what's that? Young Regal Blue. Rina.
Apa dia dengan Rina?
Yes.
The first or second one?
Okay, I'll choose second one.
And I'll choose the first one.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, so apa dia dengan Rina? What about you, finally?
I think any of the PRISM ones. Whoa, what a plug.
Something that you've seen and you feel like everyone should watch.
I mean, the most recent one is the ones I watch in PRISM. I think the Lingering is
Lingering
quite good.
one.
I think Lingering because in terms of technicality, I think you should really deconstruct how he create those lighting. It's really mesmerizing.
Okay, so apa dia dengan Rina, Prima Jaya, Lingering. I'm not sure if all can be found at Progressive Media. I guess you'll have to check it out and see if they're on Progressive Media or not. We have 5 minutes for Q&A if anybody wants to ask the panelists any questions. Anyone from the audience? Yes, Dr. Kat? Sorry?
What's your pick?
Me? I think everyone here should watch Yasmin by Siti Kamaluddin. Anything else? Just to share my own experience, it was my first time seeing Brunei on the big screen. I thought it was very beautiful. One of the reasons why I wanted to join the film industry in the first place.
Yeah, I even bought the DVD.
Yeah,
There you go.
I remember they were doing tours in school.
Yeah.
They went to my school.
Yeah.
I actually have a photo
Yeah.
of me and them.
That is all. Before we end, I want to thank all three of you for being here with me to accompany me have anxiety and panic attacks. Also to PRISM UBD Short Film Festival, specifically Dr. Yong, for making this happen. Thank you very much. Finally, everyone, Progressive Media welcomes all content from you up-and-comers. If you are interested, please send them a direct message on Instagram. And if you want to talk to them today, they're also here if you have any questions for them. That is all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, everybody, hope you enjoyed its 2 sessions with the jury judges as well as the creators panel. To close off the event, we would now like to present our final award for the day, the People's Choice Awards. Now, altogether, this year, we received 1,337 unique votes on the platform. Now, comparing that to last year's voting panel, we received 350 votes last year. So pretty amazing. Thank you all for voting and getting your family to vote, getting your friends to vote. For this award, we would like to please invite the Head of Digital Innovation at Progressive, Haziq Sharif, onto the stage. For this year's People's Choice Award will receive a $300 cash prize courtesy of Progressive Sendirian Berhad. And the lucky winner, winning 23% of the votes, goes to the 25th anniversary of LSTC Street from De La Salle University, Manila, Philippines. Now, they are unable to get the prize, but we do have a representative. She will give him, and then she will receive.
Naging company manager yung pinakauna ko talagang idea talaga. Gusto ko talaga magka-concert kahit anong mangyari. Ang problema pala namin, nung nag-start yung naging company manager, wala naman kami choreographer. Tapos nung pumasok na si Coach Nix, sinabi ko yung idea ko, gusto ko magka-concert. Nagulat siya, syempre. Sino ba naman magka-concert? Pumasok na siya yata second term. So, nagulat siya. Pero, una, siguro hindi niya, binabrush up lang niya kasi siguro hindi kaya. Feeling niya hindi kaya. Makulit ako siguro. Lagi ko kinukulit. Gusto nga mag-concert sa Araneta kung pwede. Yung mga ganun. So, siguro nag-give in siya. Tapos talagang pinlala namin yung date na ganito. Feb 14 yata, 15 yung unang dance dish kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Plano ko talaga sa street nung term ko. So parang gusto ko talagang makilala siya as, yun nga, one of the best dance group sa college.
Yung mga co-members ko sa LSDC Street, we always watch different concerts ng CADS, ng UP, and every time nanonood kami, we look forward to have our own concert as well.
Pero wala pa kaming pangalan, wala pang concept. Siyempre, wala talaga kahit ano. Tapos marami akong sinasuggest.
The name Dance Dish actually, I think the idea came from Charlene, my wife, and Cool Dude, the company manager that time.
Ang daming pangalan na hindi na-approve, yung Danceaholic, yung Channel 1.
During that time, doesn't make sense. Pero parang ngayon, pag inisip mo Dance Dish kasi parang we're serving a platter, right? Parang we're serving the audience with different menu, right? In our dance, different styles yung meron kami. So yun, kaya naging dance dish para siyang food, para siyang menu.
May hirap kumuha ng sponsors kasi wala kami pera before talaga eh. Wala talagang pera yung street. Alala ko si Ate J, may budget yung street. Kasi sila yung naghahawak ng pera ng group, di ba? May budget yung street Sabi ko, Ate J, magkano?
300 pesos yung cow account namin sa bank.
Sabi ko, pambili mo na lang ng school supplies namin, yung mga bond paper, ganyan. Doon lang talaga kami pinaka nahirapan, yung sa funding. Thankfully na ang daming sponsors, ang daming tumulong. So, yun, napulog. So, after nung dance dish, nagkapera yung street.
Very lucky yung mga, ngayon na nabutan nila yung street na meron na may money na, may budget na, nakita nila paano yung before. So, alam nila may parang certain standard na parang alam mo na, ang ganito yung ginawa last year, so like it up nila.
Every year, I think it's a competition between prods na they wanted to i-upgrade yung level ng production.
If you go back to other Dance Dish concerts, it gets better and better. Back then, we were not even known to the community. DLSU doesn't know who LSE Street is, but we were on our way there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We would like to conclude the closing ceremony. To inform you all, you can check out all the PRISM short films on Fast UBD official YouTube channel as of 4 p.m. today, where they will be rebroadcasting the opening screening of the 5th PRISM UBD Short Film Festival, where you can watch all 26 titles. So with that, I do hope everybody here gets a whole lot more inspiration to tell your stories in so many ways, shapes, and form, keeping in mind technicality, audio, and framing, and everything that you might find boring, but it's so important. On that note, my name is Olivia, and thank you so much for joining us for the closing ceremony. Good afternoon.